Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elizabeth, and when I was on vacation, I saw this video of this girl on her balcony fire escape, because in New York they don't really have balconies, chatting about losing her apartment. And I was so confused. I was like, what is this? And I realized I was on part 19 out of I think 30 parts. I was so confused, so I decided to go down a rabbit hole. And I just the audacity. I don't know. I am excited to go down this rabbit hole with you, but also I need everyone to validate my feelings. Not really. I actually want your true opinions on this. Am I crazy? Am I just blowing this out of proportion? Or is she actually just losing the plot? I actually genuinely want to know, because I do feel a part of me was what the actual is happening. I also, every single time I get on a roll of filming, something always happens and life gets crazy, because I do have a full-time job. So hopefully I am trying to stick to a 2 video a week schedule, because I actually do enjoy doing this and chatting about this, but we shall see. So let's get into it. We are going to start where I started, and we're not going to watch all 30 parts because I don't think anyone actually has the time for that, nor does anybody actually want to do that. But we are going to start where I started, because I want to go down the rabbit hole together in the way that I did it, so you understand my thought process. Okay, let's get going.
I'm on the brink of losing my housing, and I don't know what to do anymore. Over a month ago, my roommate informed me she didn't want to re-sign with me for very stupid reasons. I've made videos about it. She said that I could stay instead and that she would leave. And then 2 weeks go by and she changes her mind, and I had to find out from the landlord that she was leaving again. And I was given 24 hours to find a new roommate. We're bringing a personal guarantor, and I wound up finding someone, which was really great. I warned her up front that leave if this is too much. The drama has been stupid. She did wind up backing out, and I reassured.
But that's where I was okay, so you had 24 hours to find somebody, you found somebody, then you told them that you should probably back out because there's a lot of drama around this, that I was what drama? And at this point, while she's chatting, I started scrolling through the comments, and we're gonna listen to this whole video because I had to listen to this whole video, but I saw this comment and it just simply said, my opinion changed after watching the Roommate's POV. And then they added the roommate's TikTok. So I was oh. And then the one right below it, girl, you're in the wrong. I just saw the other roommate's POV, and I was oh. And I was okay, let me watch the roommate's POV after that, which we will. So let's keep on going. But again, what is the drama if you're the one creating the drama and you're hey, if this is too much drama, please back out. You have every right to. And I'm why would you tell somebody that if y'all get along? Because that roommate would no longer be a part of this contract. They'd be completely out. There's no subletting, no nothing. Let's just keep watching.
I was there are no hard feelings. I don't wish this stress on anyone. I'm now facing this final week by myself. I don't know what I'm going to do. I may try to ask the landlord to just let me pay the entire month of July.
It says, I tried asking this a few weeks ago and they weren't on board with it, but figured it won't hurt to try again since we literally have a week left until July. She's talking about paying until she finds something else.
Rent to buy me time to find someone. Can try to rush and find a new roommate. I don't know, dude. This has been agonizing. I've moved so many times the last year of living in New York.
Okay, when I heard her say that she moved a lot in the last year living in New York, then I'm okay, so why? Is it you? Is your roommates? What happened? Why have you been moving so much? Again, I hopped into this conversation late. I get that. I wasn't caught up on all of the parts. I was a little confused. That's my fault. But I was confused about that statement because I'm okay, it feels I started with sympathy for her, and then at this point I was it feels like it's your fault because there is like a disconnect happening here, because if you've like, I've moved a lot. I've moved a lot because I went from living in Utah, then I moved up to live with my now husband, but he was stationed in South Dakota, and then he got deployed, so I moved home. So I moved a lot within a year, but I had a reasoning behind all of it, and I wasn't staying in the same place. Like, I was moving states at a time, and it was a lot. Don't wish that upon literally anybody. So at this point, I was just like, this doesn't seem right. I just like don't trust what you have to say now.
I'm on my 5th sublet now, and I know the life that I signed up for by being a full-time artist in New York City. Mamdani gave a speech after the Knicks won, and I don't have like all of the words memorized, but he was like, what is New York if not your back is up against the wall, your dream just out of reach, unsure how you'll make your next rent payment, and looking at those 99.6% odds that are against you and smiling because in that 0.4% New Yorkers find a way. You know, it's interesting when
Okay, so she gives this quote of the New York's mayor, which we won't get into that because, like, I'm not here to be a political commentator, but I'm sure when he's saying that, he's talking about someone who does whatever they can to make money while also chasing their dreams. So she is only chasing her dreams. She is only wanting to become an artist. That's all she does. And she could do both, work and chase her dreams until she's making enough money off of being an artist. Then that's when you stop working. It's kind of that simple.
your roommate backed out. I feel like 2 weeks ago me would have like broken down and
But she just said that she found a roommate and she allowed them to back out, which I would have too if they were like, hey, if this is too much. And then I'm like, oh gosh, what is all going to happen? And I probably would have also backed out.
tears, but I think I was expecting it. I wasn't going to be surprised, but also I've just been surrendering. I can't carry it anymore. This is too much for me. I don't have control of this. I don't have control over the landlords being really fucking shitty or raising the rent without telling me until like Friday.
That's actually illegal. They have to tell you that the rent is raising. But also, she is not officially on the lease. She is a subletter.
I have no safety net. I don't have family that I can rely on financially. I'm not saying that to garner sympathy either.
I am sympathetic towards people who don't have safety nets, mainly because I am a person who has always had a safety net of her parents and they've always like helped me if in any way possible. I've always in any shape or form tried not to ask them for anything. If I'm asking, it was like texting my mom for $5 so I could go get some food from like Chick-fil-A or whatever fast food chain I was interested in at the moment, because I knew I had groceries at home. I know how to like eat on the smallest budget possible, but like make it whole, hearty, healthy food. Good for, college me really figured that out. So I do find sympathy and have sympathy for people who do not have that, because like my parents are everything to me. Like I love them so much.
Stating the facts of where I'm at and that my back is literally up against a wall right now. But one thing that I know for sure is I love New York and I belong here and I'm not going anywhere. I want this to be a win for all of us, because now I know so many of you are invested in this, and I want so badly to get to the end of this and be surprised at like a miracle that has come through for me, and it be even more than what I could have imagined. Thankfully, what I do feel in my body is a resilience to keep fighting for New York. Like, I'm a part of this, even if I'm not in that crowd. I'm a part of this city. I may not be a true New Yorker because I wasn't born here, but I know I have a New Yorker soul. That's why I feel at home here. Perhaps in a past life I lived here, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can promise you I'll continue to be kind to myself, and I will see you tomorrow, okay? Come on.
Okay, like I said, that's where I started, and then I found these 2 comments of like talking about the roommate. Let's continue to scroll through these comments and see what else we can find. Baby, this is not a movie. Go to work. I totally agree. I totally agree with that, because she's acting like this is her only option. Like, her only option is to be an artist, which, fine. If you want to be an artist that bad, then do it. But do it the way everybody else does it, and live on an artist salary, which is busting tables and doing things like that. So you have a flexible schedule to get your work done, and then also go to work. This one just says rooting against you, you know. Yeah, girl, I saw the other roommate's POV, and you are so wrong. Okay. We see so many. Oh, okay. Actually, this is an artist, so let's read it really quick. It says, girl, as an artist in NYC who's been through homelessness, I say this with empathy. You're gonna have to put pride aside and work. I have walked dogs, cleaned toilets, ran errands for a vindictive architect, babysat for difficult kids, cleaned filthy apartments, and worse. I have no parents or family here, so it was me. It took a lot of fight, but my art is selling for more than I ever dreamed. The only way to a mountain is to climb. That is so well said for somebody who is just like, all I'm going to do is my art, which you've got to get to a point where that is all you do. But she is not at that point, and you can't get there without the funds to fund your art. Like, truly, like, you need a place to live, you need a place to hold all your supplies, you need a place for your art to live. Like, you need to fund being an artist until somebody else funds you being an artist. It's just like that simple. Okay, so now let's go to the roommate's POV, because that's where I had to go next. I was like, okay, everyone's talking about the roommate, let me find the roommate's POV.
A sublet I met about a month ago made a 30-part TikTok series about me, and I want to address a few things.
I just need to stop it there for a second. So it's a sublet that she met a month ago. They've only been roommates for a month. So going in, she had to have known that this sublet was only going to be for a few months at a time, because the lease agreement was ending and she just needed somebody to take that room for that time. That gives anybody plenty of time. I wouldn't have even unpacked. I would have unpacked my essentials and be like, thank you, I am going to work on also finding another place to live. I appreciate it. In a 30-part series, that's so crazy.
We're gonna keep it short and straight to the point, because 30? I genuinely don't know how any of this is my fault. You started subleasing a few weeks ago. A sublease is temporary by definition.
Yes, actually, let's look up what it means. A sublease or sublet is when existing tenant temporarily rents out all or part of their leased property to a third party. The original tenant remains legally responsible to the landlord for paying rent and covering any damages, even if the new occupant fails to pay. That is what a sublet is. It's why a lot of people sign sublet contracts. So even if I'm still liable, I can legally go after this person since they're subletting what I am offering them.
Meaning I don't owe you shit. You are not entitled just because you moved in. I feel like I gave you plenty of notice and time to make arrangements so that when you re-sign the lease, you won't be stressed out. You even admitted that you found someone within a day.
That's what I said. She found somebody within 24 hours, which good for her, but then basically scared her away. But also if you're giving some, she's offering her to re-sign the lease for that apartment. She's not wanting to stay. So hey, you've got 2 to however long months. It sounded like 2-ish months to find somebody to take my spot, because I'm leaving and y'all will have to sign a brand new lease.
The real issue is that the rent increased and now you need to qualify for the lease yourself. And that is not my problem. That's just how...
No, that isn't her problem. She, obviously the rent's going to increase because a new lease is being implemented, and that always requires a rent income. Not requires. They don't have to increase rent. We just signed a new lease and our rent went up, and we had a whole discussion about it, even though we knew we were staying for another year. But still, we still had to discuss it because it's rent, and it's our money and we're just like, what are we doing with our lives type of deal. Not really. We're looking to buy a house next year, but it sucks. Like, I hate renting. I feel like I'm just throwing money out the window for no apparent reason.
New York renting goes. I feel like that's how renting goes in any state. You have moved 5 times within a year. At this point, babe, there's a common denominator, and it's definitely not the people that you're subleasing from.
Exactly.
I feel like at this point it's you. Throughout all your videos, there was a consistency of you talking about me, about my situation, my bills, my pay stubs, my proof of income, when in reality, I have a job. I pay my bills on time. I even secured my new apartment. I think you're projecting what you're lacking onto me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you know you need bills, and not need bills, nobody needs bills, everybody hates bills. If you need to have proof of income and proof of paying your bills on time to get a lease, like, I forgot all the stuff we had to provide for this apartment, but it was quite a bit, proving that we paid everything on time, proving how much income we both made, proving a lot of stuff so that we could get this apartment. And it was so invasive, and I was just like, this is kind of crazy. And I feel like that's gotten more and more prevalent in this era of like people wanting to fake their incomes. And I really hope that this, like, I really hope that, like, apartment living does get better. I don't see that happening, but there is a lot that goes into it in getting approved to rent somewhere.
I feel like what's genuinely crazy is I never wished anything bad upon you. I really do hope you get approved for this apartment with your new roommate. What sucks is that you made 30 videos about me consecutively, wishing bad upon me, saying I'm getting karma, calling me names, calling me out of my name. I don't even know you, babe, and you don't even know me. I just met you a month ago.
That's so crazy. Like, I haven't had a roommate since college, and I didn't get one until I moved in with my husband, which is a whole different story. Living with a boy is crazy wild, because all I've ever done is live with girls. But I moved in with 3 randos in college, and luckily they were super chill. They were softball players. They were cool. But, like, just, like, you just never know, truly.
Hello? I just feel like I'm getting dragged for choosing what's best for me in my future. She also started a GoFundMe. I'm gonna insert.
Yes. This says, oh, hi, I'm EK. I've been a full-time artist in NYC for over a year now and have jumped through so many sublets trying to find home. Well, why don't you... She's subletting because she can't prove that she can afford an apartment and just get it in her name. I moved into my current place thinking I'd get to stay, but after a horrible, traumatizing situation with my roommate... Okay. Now turned into dealing with slummy landlords. I'm at my breaking point and I need help. I'm not sure if I'm going to need to pay the entirety of rent for the month of July, if the LL will even let me, if the landlord will even let me, on top of a security deposit, or if I'll have to move in literally a week. So much is still uncertain and it's agonizing. I feel embarrassed to even do this because it feels like there's so many other better causes, but I have an incredible following on social media who wants to support, and so for anyone who's asked, I'd love to open this up to receive the help. Please know there's no expectation to. I'm so grateful for all of y'all's support over the last year, especially those of you who've been buying my Kit Kats and art. I don't know what that is. What is a Kit Kat? Thank you for believing in me. Be kind to yourself, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, we have more sunsets to see. She's raised $3,345 out of $5,000. That's honestly insane.
So you can read it briefly. You didn't start a GoFundMe because you lost your job, you have medical expenses to take care of, or have hard times at this moment. You started a GoFundMe because you don't have the funds for the apartment And instead of being honest about that, you're blaming me.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, I feel like I'm really trying to stop using filler words. I feel as if she's trying to use this 30-part series as a confusion mechanism in the process of being like, hey, would somebody else pay for this apartment for me? I don't want to work, but I also just want to be an artist. Like, get for real.
People have asked you multiple times, why don't you get an actual job? And your response is always, I'm an artist.
That is not a response. I'm an artist is not a response. Like, that is so crazy because we all don't want to work. Trust me, I don't want to work. I mean, actually, that's why I actually really do love my job. I really enjoy it. But who doesn't want to work? I mean, I've seen memes and TikToks and things that's like, my ultimate dream job is no job at all. And it's literally everybody. Like, nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to deal with people. And nobody wants any of this. But here we are. We live in a capitalist society where you have to work to pay for things. You have to work to afford things. If you want nicer things, you have to make more money. That's just the way it is. That's America. Like, that's truly it. That is America. That just makes me mad. I feel like that just makes me so mad because there are so many like people out there who work so hard to support their hobbies because they also just want to be artists. They want to be authors. They want to be artists. They want to be singers. They want to be all these things. And so they work to support that hobby. Okay.
There's plenty of artists in New York City that still have regular jobs because they know rent needs to be paid at the end of the day. And instead of finding a job, you decide to basically scream, call me out of my name, say that I am a nightmare roommate, blaming me for not wanting to re-sign the lease with you, which is crazy. I feel like if you started a GoFundMe that said, I can't afford rent right now, that's one thing. But because you switched the narrative and basically stated you are trapped in a traumatized, abusive situation with your roommate, because
the roommate she's only had for a month and a half, a sublet roommate, like, they're not even really, like, yes, they technically live in the same place and they are technically roommates, but they're not, because I'm sure she asked her to sublease for the month and a half, so she didn't have to pay the entirety of rent for that time, and that also helps somebody else out in the ability to find a stable situation, and she just happened to get hit with a nightmare.
Because I'm choosing to leave is completely different. I feel like at some point you have to stop blaming other people for your circumstances that you are responsible for as a grown adult. And babe, yes, you are 30 years old. You are a grown woman. Even I in my 20s understand the concept of how renting, how deposits, how moving, how all of that goes. If I can understand that and I take responsibility because I know the world doesn't owe me anything, I feel like you can do that as well. You're not getting evicted, you got the lease, and I'm moving out at the end of this month. And that's it. A sublet I met.
I feel so sorry for this girl because she was probably like, yes, oh my gosh, I found a subletter. I don't have to pay the entirety of this rent until I'm out of here, even though I'm moving, because then, she's saving up for moving costs. She's saving up for a deposit on a different apartment. She's making sure she doesn't have to pay a cleaning fee and things like that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the things that come with moving and having to save a little bit of money in the process of that. I don't blame her for getting a subletter, truly. All right, let's read some of her comments because they're going to be really different. Let's see here. The art, by the way. What the heck is this? What is that? I don't like it. Y'all doing this in the same apartment, which is wild, truly. Just know everyone on Reddit was on your side. Oh, here's the Reddit. Thank you. Honestly, this roommate's right. Like, I really don't have much more to say about it, but I am now heavily enough invested that I want to know what the 30-part series is about. So we are going to watch somebody break that down because I'm just curious.
Breaking down what the fuck is going on TikTok today. New York City sublet roommate drama explained. Okay, so a 2-month sublease in
The fact that she can break this down in 4 minutes, this was a 30-part series. And this girl broke it down in 4 minutes. Like, thank goodness for some of these people, because could not be me. I have way too much to say.
New York City turned into a 30-part TikTok series. Let's get into it. Marlon, she's a leaseholder and she's been living in her apartment for around 3 years. She was originally planning on signing her lease and she had this roommate that sucked him. That roommate moved out May 12th. EK moves in and takes over the roommate's lease, and that lease is from May through July. EK is on a temporary 2-month sublease. She's 30 years old. She's a full-time artist. She makes clay warrior cats. She moved to New York City in 2025. She's been in 6 different subleases since she's moved to New York, and she's just looking for permanent housing. But this is where the tea gets going. So EK is the subletter that moved into Marlon's apartment. Marlon is a lease.
May 12th, not even a full 2 months. If she, like, everyone knowing that she moved in on May 12th and knowing that she signed a sublease agreement saying, hey, this is going to end at the end of June and we may or may not sign again, that's kind of up in the air. The fact that it wasn't already signed, like another year lease was not signed by the end of May, that would have just registered to me, hey, I should probably find an apartment because we're probably not going to be living together, or ask her, hey, are you moving out? If so, it gives me the full month of June to find somebody to live with here. Thank you. Like, you know, just simple context clues are nice.
Holder. In this time frame, Marlon and EK are not really vibing because EK is like hella passive aggressive, sending her hella long text messages. Late May, Marlon starts telling EK, hey, just letting you know the lease is ending at the end of June, which EK did know that's when the lease was ending. You should probably start looking for a place to live. And EK's like, what? I thought we had a verbal agreement that I was going to be able to like re-sign and live here. And Marlon's like, well, I thought you didn't like living here considering these really long texts you've been sending.
Which is fair. If I'm getting hella passive aggressive text messages, I would just assume that they do not want to live here.
Me, EK's like, what? I don't want to move out. I had a verbal agreement that we would be re-signing the lease. And Marlon,
a verbal agreement, I don't think is contractual. Let's look. In New York City is a verbal agreement binding. In New York, verbal agreements are legally binding if they include an offer, acceptance, and consideration in exchange of value. However, they must comply with New York State statute of frauds, which requires certain deals to be in writing to be enforced, such as real estate transactions and contracts. Okay, so since it's a real estate transaction, verbal agreement means absolutely nothing. Thanks. Thank you, Google.
like, yeah, I would be resigning the lease, but not with you. I want to have my friend move in. Your lease is ending at the end of June. Mind you, a sublease is just when you take over someone's part of the lease, so that way they can move out and you just finish it out and you either stay there and resign with the people that are there, or you all just move. It's just a temporary housing situation. So on May 29th, EK posts the first part of her TikTok series, My Roommate in New York City is Trying to Kick Me Out. EK starts posting all these videos where she basically starts dragging the fuck out of Marlon. That Marlon is trying to kick her out. They had a verbal agreement that they would be resigning.
Okay, so this happened May 29th. So that gave her, like, she started all of this May 29th. So that gave her a full month to find a job to make more money, to find somewhere else to move to find somebody to move in with, maybe in that same apartment, and be like, hey, maybe you can move out and I can stay here, to do literally anything but start a 30-part TikTok series. I hate that.
Finally, Marlon's like, you know what? You keep the apartment, I'll move out. And EK's like, oh, okay, that works too.
Perfect. Okay, Marlon's moving out. She's letting EK keep the apartment. May 29th, a month to find somebody. No worries.
So Marlon's looking for an apartment. What happened is she wasn't finding something she liked. So she tells EK, you know what? I think I actually want to stay at my apartment, but I still don't want to live with you. So then EK gets pissed off.
Which she is the leaseholder. She has every right to do that.
again, continues to post, which I get it. Like, Marlon was like, okay, you stay. I'd also...
If I was Marlon, I probably, telling her she can stay, would have found somewhere else to live. Like, I know that sucks. You don't want to move. You've lived there for 3 years. But this person is such a nightmare that I probably would have just bit the bullet and moved in with my friends somewhere else and be like, hey, we cannot live here.
Be like, fuck it, you keep the apartment, I don't want to argue with you. So then she goes back on that, but then turns out that the rent is increasing. So Marlon's like, okay, you know what, this isn't even worth it, the drama, the rent increase, I'm just gonna actually move out. So then the landlord tells EK, okay, you have 24 hours to get the paperwork in, your pay stubs, all of that, if you want to keep this apartment. So now EK is blaming Marlon for being like,
well, Marlon, like, EK would have had to do that anyways if Marlon isn't staying on the lease because she's moving out. So she should have been getting all of that together regardless. Regardless. Yeah, regardless.
I only have 24 hours to get all this paperwork in, find a roommate. The issue is, EK in her videos was dragging the fuck out of Marlon, saying, this girl just became an influencer. I don't even think she has pay stubs or anything to get an apartment. So, ha ha ha. So anyways, EK now has to find a roommate in 24 hours that has proof of income and pay stubs. She finds one, but that roommate backs out because she finds out that the rent increased. So that roommate's like, yeah, sorry about that. It's just too much. Which, fair. EK starts a GoFundMe because she knows that she has to cover a month's worth of rent while she figures out a roommate.
The GoFundMe is wild. I mean, $5,000 for rent, if that's how much their rent is wild. Like, that is so much in rent, but they live in New York. That kind of makes sense to me. I mean, what is the average rent in New York? Let's look it up. What is the average rent in New York City for a 2-bedroom apartment? Honestly, that's cheap. If it's $5,000, it says that the average is between $5,700 and $6,300. Like, okay, $5,000, that's pretty good. But for somebody who's like, it's increasing and they can move a little, they don't need to live in New York, maybe they're living like outside of it and they can move further, then like, why not continue to move further away? Like, might as well.
To move in with her, which, okay, fair enough, do your GoFundMe. But in the GoFundMe, not only does she drag Marlon, saying like, this is toxic.
Yeah, we read the GoFundMe, that was crazy.
Situation, terrible, awful. She's also dragging the landlord, who was very kind to her, allowing her to take over the lease despite her not having the proper income and pay stub proofs that she needs, and giving her the opportunity to find a roommate that does have that. Also really fucked on her for talking about Marlon, saying she's an influencer, she doesn't even have any of that. It's like, girl, the issue with the GoFundMe is the way that she stated it. She says, I moved into my current place thinking I'd get to stay, but after a horribly traumatizing situation with my roommate, girl, you could have made this GoFundMe. Yo, I'm in this situation, I don't have the funds to cover the rent for myself and a potential roommate while I look for one. This isn't horribly traumatizing. This is just like, you don't have the money saved up for a situation.
Honestly, I feel like if that would have happened and it was just as simple as, this is what's happening and I just can't afford it, but I'm working on it. I'm working on getting a job so I can. I feel like people would be a lot more sympathetic towards her. It's really that easy.
Like this, and that's okay. Anyways, now turned into dealing with slummy landlords when really her roommate just didn't want to re-sign a lease with her. Marlon should have never been in this situation to begin with because it was her lease. This girl made it very difficult. Marlon responds back on June 24th explaining her side of the story. This girl moved in, taking over a sublease, doesn't want to move out, started posting a 30-part TikTok series because Marlon did not want to re-sign with her, and started GoFundMe, basically dragging the fuck out of her. And that was that, where she calls Marlon racist because Marlon expressed to EK, hey, after they were going back and forth, if I'm being completely honest, the reason I don't want to live with you is because I would rather live with someone of color because our living situations would be a lot more similar. So yeah, that's what's going on TikTok today. New York City sublet roommate drama explained that you're living with this girl and you're sitting in a room next to her.
I hate it when people throw out the race card for no reason. Like, no, you're just being a nightmare. Like, if she was racist, she wouldn't have let you sublease to begin with. Like, you were literally just a nightmare.
You're talking mad shit about her, showing all your text messages to the world. Anyways, EK ends up keeping the apartment and she finds another roommate. Marlon already got her own apartment because she does have pay stubs and proof of income. Breaking down what the fuck is...
That's crazy. Whoever is EK's new roommate, like, I'm sorry, but you're living with an actual nightmare. There is no way I would want to live like live there. That would be actually insane. I don't know. Is the internet overreacting? Am I overreacting? Who's overreacting? Is EK in the wrong? Is Marlon in the wrong? I mean, let's all be really honest. We're all on Marlon's side. I'm on Marlon's side, at least. I just think it's actually crazy that she was like, I'm going to do a 30-part series on TikTok explaining how my roommate, who very graciously let me sublease her apartment, is a nightmare because she doesn't want to live with me. How dare she? Like, that is so entitled. Like, I'm sorry, you've moved 6 times in the past year, and it sounds like all of them were subleases because you would be stuck in a lease if you were an actual leaseholder for a full year. So I'm sorry if I just like don't believe that Marlon is the problem. Like, it's like, I really don't. Like, get an actual job. I don't know. I feel like this was crazy. I do feel like 30-part series, a little blown out of proportion. Why do we need that? I am thankful for Shay Lu. Like, thank you for breaking that down and your beautiful whiteboard, because I did not want to watch 30 parts of a series. I'm going to be really honest. Sounds like a nightmare. But I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm interested to see how other people feel about this. I personally think that it was a little ridiculous. I think that she overreacted to Marlon not wanting to live with her. Like, I would also prefer to live with one of my friends. Like, if that was my option, live with you or live with a friend, I'd live with a friend. Truly. I don't know. That was crazy, but I hope you enjoyed it. I was like, I have to talk about this. I needed to talk about it with somebody because my husband literally just does not care. He does not care about internet drama. He does not care. Like, I try to talk to him about these things and he's just like, whatever, babe. And I'm just like, love that for you, honey. I'm glad you just like don't care about the internet drama because I love it. It brings me joy, I guess. But I'm glad EK is not homeless, like, truly. I hope she has a great time in the apartment with her new roommate. I'm glad Marlon was able to get out, and I hope her and her friend have just a wonderful time together. But honestly, like, let me know what you think. I am interested. Please drop it in the comments below. And if you have any like crazy story you want me to talk about, please put that in the comments below too. I honestly had a great time. This was very entertaining, and I'm glad you got to go down this rabbit hole with me.